Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason, though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. You always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gon' rise to the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Let me tell y'all something. You ain't got to ever worry about getting nobody back for some shit they done did to you. Cause quiet as it's kept, everybody working get paid. Let me break that down so you understand what I mean. Everybody working getting paid. See, some of you motherfuckers don't even know that you're working. But payday comes after a while, bitch. You being messy, you're working. You gossiping about people, you're working. You stealing, lying, cheating, or just all around doing some fuck shit, you're working. And payday is on its motherfucking way. Ha ha! Let me tell you something, you working motherfuckers. Some of you bitches got overtime in that bitch too. Ooh, that payout gonna be good. So when you get your check, bitch, don't complain. You worked for it.
We will see you guys back here real soon.
Need to hear this, but let me put this out here. Stop sparing folks. Hello, somebody. Stop sparing folks. Nobody cared when your feelings was hurt. Nobody cared when you was pacing the floor. Nobody cared when you was sliding down the wall. Nobody cared when you was standing over there with a face full of tears. You had to suck it up, buttercup. But then when it come to other folk feelings, here you are, want to tiptoe around it, want to avoid the elephant in the room. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to disturb the peace. Stop sparing folk. Ain't nobody spare you when it was your turn. Give it to them real. Give it to them raw. Give it to them uncut and uncensored. This is exactly what it is. This where you had me messed up at. Huh. Yeah. I ain't playing with nobody this season, baby.
So apparently, if you treat people like they treat you, they get upset. Shocker.
See, I don't know about y'all, but like for real, I don't mind being talked about. My problem come in when they start making stuff up. So you can talk about me all you want. It is what it is. You know, it's either I did it or I didn't. I said it or I didn't. Whatever the case is, I don't care. I let whoever think whatever, feel whatever. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? But it's the making up part. It's the lying part. It's the adding on to part that always get me. I don't mind being talked about. It's when y'all start lying that bothers me.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
My beautiful people of YouTube and Twitter, dun 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 dun. We have survived. Okay, you know that's brutal out here in these court streets, right? Brutal out here. Just never know what's going on. Everything went just fine, right? Don't know what they're going to say. We just went in there and said, hey, where's your case? Well, our case is here. We're still at the beginning. Okay, well, you need to do this, have this done by this deadline. And we'll be back here by January. There you go. It is a wrap. I just saved you guys from having to listen to 2 hours of bullshit from channels that have no clue what they're talking about. I know. But hey, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we had Don Kinnerman in there, right? Don Kinnerman. Remember that nasty journalist from Braden? I'm not newsworthy and I'm not a public person. And she's associated with a news organization that has deep pockets. And she's following me around here in Manatee County. I wonder how that's going to work out for her. Just wonder. Another person from camp, from the person I'm suing, following me around. Hold on. I got to undo my little thing. Following me around, right? They're following me around and keeping me under surveillance. The same exact people. Do I do this in an earpiece? Let's try this. Maybe this is right. There we go. My ears are back on. The same exact people that are associated and very much friends, supporters, and coordinators and collaborators with this one person. I find that highly suspect. So if she was trying to be, I keep wondering when they realize that like now the case is going forward, and you know there's a lot of witnesses in this case, lots of witnesses that I have to now depose, which is going to be very costly. But again, we're going to get to the bottom of this, and so this week I'll be sending out the subpoenas necessary to start working on getting to the bottom of this. So we're in it to win it. Good morning, Sonia. Good morning. It's me, Jen. It was a great day today for court. Nothing major going on. Guess what? Still not laughed out of the courtroom. Who knew? I can promise you at this moment, everybody's taking this case seriously, except the idiots on YouTube, right? All parties are now understanding the gravity of this suit. All parties. We knew it before we went in there, but all parties. Bayou, it's nice to see you. Mama Llama, it's nice to see you. Tammy Sue, it's me, Jen, the real me too. Bayou, babe. Hindsight 2020. Good morning, Angela Witt. Good morning, everybody so far. Good morning. Nice to see you. Second thesis, November Rain. Good morning to all. Pete S., it's nice to see you in the house. Who else do we have going on here? We've got, I think I said hi to all of you guys so far, but we are here. Not laughed out of the courtroom yet. Izzy, I see you. Rapper, I see you. Just Deb. Nani, it's nice to see you. I hope if this is the wrapper, you seem like you did pretty good yesterday. Hopefully we keep that going for you today. We do like having people here, obviously, and we like to have a good, clean, adult conversation. So hopefully everybody knows the rules of the Bullhorn Betty chat by now. But if you don't, let's say it together. The one rule to the Bullhorn Betty chat is what? Don't be a dick, right? The only rule of the chat is don't be a dick. Now, if you can't follow that simple rule and you are an adult, I can promise you we don't want you here, okay? And I can promise you, you probably don't want to be here. So just save yourself the embarrassment, save yourself the frustration, save the channel the frustration. It's Christmas time, and just excuse yourself like an adult. Exactly. So for all the people that want good, clean language, that's what we have the other team members for, right? So now you know. Don't be a dick. All right. Now that we're over that. Sad that we have to provide those rules. So anyways, getting into this whole case, you guys know that we have been running with the whole Crystal Rogers case. I always want to say Crystal Turner because if you guys know, you guys see me struggle when I say Crystal's name. It's because I have been for years, speaking on Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner's case. And we actually know one of the cousins. I haven't spoke to her in quite a while. I hope she's doing well. And I do think of her. I'm just so busy. I just don't reach out to anybody. Ask Lori Lowe, ask Guidance, ask all of them. They'll tell you I'm so busy. I don't even respond to them half the time. But Crystal Rogers' case just seemed like a run-of-the-mill, normal, domestic violence type of situation. It sounds really messed up that I got to say normal, right? But these types of cases, they do have the same ring, just different players in all of them, right? Every time we deal with a domestic violence, it's just different faces, different names, same situation. So that's what I mean, by the normal run of the mill. So it just didn't seem anything out of the ordinary in this type of case. So we thought, we know that when somebody does a despicable act like this, they typically go and ask for help from somebody that they trust. So seeing a second person arrested for like a conspiracy charge or tampering with evidence or something like that, we typically would see because people ask for help, especially when they're jammed up in a situation like saying losing their temper and somebody losing their life because of it. So you call those people come out, they keep their mouth shut because they're loyal, right? They're loyal to you and they keep their mouth shut of this despicable act. Well, at some point, especially when you may have done them wrong or they had to move on or they needed some help from this person and that person turned their back on them. Right? That's usually typically how people start breaking their silence. They were wronged by the person they've done so much for and to, right? So I feel like there was some type of situation that caused the Lawson's relationship to sour with the Houcks. And the reason why I say that, because it appears that Joseph wasn't really working for Houck. Steve was already in Indiana when he was arrested. So it seems like there was a breakup of people. And when you have the breakup of people, obviously people start breaking their silence. That's kind of how it works. There's hurt feelings. Somebody lied to them. Somebody deceived them. And they realized the error of their way. And I think Joseph was the weakest link. I think that they started looking into this. I think it started getting some more publicity, a little bit new wind in its case. The FBI took this over. I want to say about 5 years. Is that right? About 5 years or so after this case had gone cold. And I think the FBI was rightful in taking this case over, because nothing was really getting done. And like I said, I smelt a hint of political corruption in this case. There is no way that you have a person that is the only and prime suspect in a case of a disappearance of a girl that was deemed murdered all the way back 3 months after she disappeared. They had already flagged her as being deceased. And like even with the Summer Wells case, that's what we're waiting on right now for law enforcement to say she's deceased. Once she's deceased, this is a homicide investigation. And they won't even claim Summer Wells, even after, as we're approaching 3 years and nobody's seen or heard from her since, she's still not deemed deceased. So obviously, even back in 2015, they had enough information about Crystal to determine that she had been deceased, or some evidence, some mind-blowing evidence that gave them the evidence they needed to determine that she is no longer with us. They were able to determine that in 3 months after her disappearance. 3 months. I believe it was October 16th that she, now don't point me on the date. I know it was October 2015. I don't remember the specific date. I believe it was, if my memory serves me correctly, it was October 16th. But either way, they had determined at that point, Crystal was no longer with us. So now you have a deceased person, claimed deceased. This is a homicide investigation as of the date that they determined she's dead. And so now you have this homicide investigation, which leads everybody to a prime suspect, and that prime suspect is Brooks Houck. That was back in 2015. 2015. So under the leadership of the state and the county and the city, they were not able to make an arrest. With a dead person, a prime suspect, and a litany of evidence, they were not able to make an arrest. They were not able to make an arrest for another 8 years, and only after the FBI got involved. This is why I think it's so important that we get involved in the Summer Wells case, and we do whatever action we need to do behind that to push that forward, because I really believe that is the only way that case is going to be solved. And I've been saying that for a solid year. And you know what? Outside of Trevor, I haven't spoken to one content creator that has actually wanted to do any actual work to move this on from Hawkins County. And you guys know I've been out here for several months, right? Several months talking about Summer Wells and the action we can put behind it to have meaningful resolution to her case. And all the content creators that have, and I shouldn't say Trevor, I've talked to Justice for All as well, and ICU. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I'm talking about all the other creators, all the other creators that has made Summer Wells their focal point. And I know they're getting these videos because they get clipped everything. Like everybody gets clipped everything. So it was just a little eye-opening that I've put out here for months, that I would really like to get a team together to really drive home the need for the FBI to run this investigation. People are like, well, the FBI is already involved, because people are idiots and don't understand how it works. And I'm sorry for the people that are in my chat that I love that, don't understand this, okay? I'm not calling you an idiot, okay? No. On a real note, the FBI really is only a resource for them, okay? They're not running the investigation. And when they're a resource, they act in a different capacity, okay? They act in a completely different capacity than as if they're running the case all by themselves. If the FBI is the investigative body, they handle things different than as just being a resource to the investigative body. If that makes sense to you, hopefully it does, but they're not running this case. The FBI is not running this case. They are literally a resource at this point. What does that mean? A resource basically means, and my county and federal employees can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it works is when you ask for these resources, they give you things like extra investigative tools. They give you access to their crime labs to process evidence and stuff like that. Now, granted, it still takes time because it's an FBI lab and they've got a lot of pressing issues that we don't even know about, right? So with this whole Jason Ellis thing, we learned, we couldn't figure out what the connection is between the Crystal and Tommy case versus the Jason Ellis. Like, we can kind of understand why Crystal Rogers and Tommy Ballard are connected. Okay, this is a father and a daughter that were gunned down. Or we don't know how Crystal died, right? We don't know how Crystal died. But we definitely know that Tommy was gunned down. So that was her father looking into her case And within a year of her death, or a year and a half of her death, something like that, he was deceased. They killed him. And the prosecution thinks it was Nick Houck, Brooks's brother. Brooks killed the daughter. His brother killed the father. That's what they think. So we understand that those two cases are connected. But we keep hearing about Jason Ellis. We see Jason Ellis in all these thumbnails. We see him connected. And then we look under the hood and we realize he was ambushed and murdered 2 years before Crystal disappeared. And so we're like, okay, well, this is 2 years before Crystal disappeared. How in the world can this possibly be connected to it? And then we go to start listening at the interviews. And it really wasn't Brooks that kind of started making me think that there's a hint of organized crime with this family. It was actually Nick's interview, his absolute mind-numbing, I don't know nothing interview. And in that interview, there were a few key takeaways and all the I don't knows. One was the blanket in the back of his cruiser. We don't know why that was in the back of his cruiser. He says he got it from the farm and that he used it to move furniture, but he screwed up because he's not supposed to be using his patrol car for private matters. That's why officers have their own vehicles. Yes, they take them home, but they're not supposed to use them to run errands. You know, when they're clocked out, their car's clocked out. They just use it to get back and forth to work. That's what it's for. They're supposed to use a private vehicle. So for him to allege that was in there because he was moving furniture, the next question was, you were moving furniture in your car? And of course he had to fix that and say, no, I moved it with the truck, but I was going to take this back out there to their house. It still doesn't matter because you're still not supposed to drive your work vehicle on private matters. Therefore, you should not be driving your private vehicle or your work vehicle out to the property, to the farm, to give them back a blanket. So his story really doesn't make any sense, but they wanted to hone in on the blanket. And then later in that interview, we learned it's because his whole trunk lit up like a Smurf. He had bodily fluids filled in the trunk of his car. And he can't explain how body fluids got in the trunk of his car, because the only way you can get body fluids in the trunk of your car is if a body's in the trunk of your car. And that's basically what law enforcement told him. And he denied it. He said, deny. Another key factor that we took away from Nick Houck's interview was this property that he was talking about that him and his family go and hunt on, and how it's been in his family for centuries or decades or whatever. Apparently, Brooks paid for it. He bought that that story around how he purchased the property doesn't make sense either. But apparently he's the one that bought out the entire family on that property. However, he didn't put it in his name and he didn't put it in the trust name. He put it in his mother's name, which doesn't make financial sense to somebody that has millions and millions of dollars. It just doesn't make sense. So I started looking at it from that angle and saying, this property, it really does sound like some type of laundering. Buying the property for cash, handing it over to a third party. Nobody's the wiser. Nobody's really looking into it. They see that mama bought the property, or mama's the owner of the property. She's naturally has a lot of money. So nobody would have even batted an eye that she was the one that didn't purchase that property. They would almost assume she did. But based upon Nick's statements, Brooks is the one that purchased that property and put it in his mother's name. It just sounds fishy to me. Listen, I've been around a lot of dealers. I've been around a lot of people that deal. I hung out with, just like whenever I put my mind to doing this and succeeding, when I was out in those streets, I put my mind to that and succeeded. I knew all the big people. I knew all the big fish. I always go to the decision makers. That's the way I've always been my entire life. Don't ask me, even out when I was out there in the substance abuse, right? So I know how this works. And I know a lot of well-to-do people from my 20s that were engaged in criminal activity, so much so that they had millions and millions of dollars, and how they handled their business was of similar fashion, just like this. Like even where they purchased their mommy's property and rental properties, but it's all put in mommy's name. Yeah, I've seen that before. I sure have. And you know what? The people that did that were drug dealers. I'm sure there was more than just drug dealers that do that, but those are the people I was hanging out with at the time. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they were doing. So this idea that this doesn't happen, or there's no hint of impropriety related to this one property purchase, I call BS. I think there is. And so when we finally came to the realization that there was some corruption here, that there is some organized crime here with the whole murder of Jason Ellis, we learned that it has to do, or at least allegedly, has to do with storage units and businesses being robbed of antiques and drugs. I don't know how truthful that is. Okay. I don't know how truthful that is at all. That was never corroborated by law enforcement. That was an article based upon a producer speaking to somebody in a jail about this case. We know jailhouse snitches sometimes say things that aren't true in an effort to help cases, and hopefully that maybe their information is true and it'll buy them some good time or help them get out of jail early. That's why they do it. Selfish reasons. Never to help the case. Never to help the case. So I don't know how true that story is, but it was a statement. It was an article that was written by Oxygen. You know, the TV station Oxygen. I think it's on OWN, one of the Oprah Winfrey, whatever conglomerates, Oxygen. So it was an article out of Oxygen magazine that I was reading on this particular case, which alleged these things. So these crimes. But listen, I tried to go back, and it's kind of finicky because we know internet was good back in 2013. We know outside of 1994, when it was invented, that we've made a lot of steps in getting our internet being this amazing tool that it is, that everybody can use. When I go into the internet and start looking for this massive amount of storage unit thefts or business burglaries, these organized type crime situations, I'm not finding them. I'm finding a lot of storage stuff going on. I see a lot of storage thefts going on in this case. I can see that in 2000, where are my searches? Hold on. Are these them? Yeah, here's some of them. Let's show this one. I got some stuff up. So just to let you know, I am doing my research. So this goes back to August 2013. He was killed May 25th, 2013, but I figured it has to be something related to the storage and other stuff, right? That they're alleging in that Oxygen article. But the problem is I can't find it. And they've have some suspects and things that they've accused of these crimes, and I'm not finding any real connection from these people to Brooks Houck. So I'm still a little, a little confused about whether or not, I feel like there's organized crime here, and I feel like it's organized crime that has, like married the Houcks to the Jason Ellis case. But based on that Oxygen story, now you guys know this is what I do. We looked at it. It makes sense. It's time now to dig in and to prove or disprove it. I can't find any of this huge conglomerate of business robberies or storage break-ins. Now, could they have cleansed their accounts? Could this be part of their open investigation? Maybe it's not publicly knowledgeable yet. Maybe it was knowledgeable then, but not now. I even tried to look at news clippings because I figured if there's an uptick in these storage thefts and in these business thefts, there's got to be some type of articles talking about it. That antiques and millions of dollars in drugs are missing. I'm not finding any of that. So I really don't know if that Oxygen article holds water with specificity. I still believe there's something there. There's a connection, and there's an organized crime connection between the Houcks and the Jason Ellis ambush. But I don't know what it is. And I don't think, he started out with the whole traffic, and I'm talking about Jason Ellis. He started out with the traffic enforcement. He did really good in traffic enforcement. He got the governor's award in 2007, got the governor's award in 2008. He became the first K-9 unit in 2008. Plus, he became the officer of the year in 2008. So 2008 was really a big year for Jason Ellis in his accolades, in his work ethic, and all of his all of his work that he's done up to that point that was being noticed. He was a rising star in the Bardstown Police Department. He was doing great things and really putting a dent in the criminal enterprise with the help of his dog. What is it? Figo? I think it was Figo. I think that's what they called him, because I remember it was a name that I wouldn't have called it based upon the spelling of his name. So, and his dog ended up being retired and given to the family. It's sad news to say that his dog, I believe it was almost to the day of his fourth, milestone of his death, that his dog passed away. So I know that it gives me chills saying that. Like, I just had chills go through my entire body when I said that. But as sad as it is, his dog is at rest as well. And that was a little sad. It was a little sad. I'm banned by fake tan lady. Are you talking about Lady CC? Well, you should say fake tan lady. It's just, plastic. You just need to call her plastic. I think her whole body is plastic. She's a Barbie doll. She's she probably looks like what Barbie looks like at 100. I don't know what to say. And she gets like so little people, and she just thinks she's like, who? You can tell that she thinks she's so much better than everybody else. Like, she talks like, even her audience, she wants to be so fake. Even her snarkiness is it just comes off so fake, and just, she's plastic. She's plastic. She's fake. She needs attention. She wants friends so bad that she's willing to sell her soul to the devil to get them. I just can't with her. I just can't with her. All I got to say to that old white lady that is a Karen, grow up. Maybe take some of that plastic out of you. I think the silicone's getting to your brain cells. I don't know. But hate is never a good answer. Hate is never a good answer. And guys, I can say stuff about silicone, fake, and plastic and stuff like that, right? I got none, but I can say something about it. Why? Because I got friends that do, and they gave me permission. If anybody's insulted about that, maybe you should realize that those types of jobs are pretty noticeable. Okay, so people they know whether they're real or not. Okay, so don't be all hating on Betty because I made an observation. Okay, all right. If you just ate a little bit and put some fat in your lifestyle, you probably wouldn't need all that fakeness. You probably wouldn't need to have your face stretched. It's called taking care. It's called good care. Like, that lady probably looked like that when she was my age. She hasn't gotten any prettier either. She's had to have it all stretched out. The next time you go to the plastic surgeon, Lisa, just tell him to take an iron, okay? A hot iron. It might help pull some of those wrinkles out, okay? And make sure they go all the way down. So you don't have to wear that thing that kind of sucks in all that stuff, so it makes you look like you don't have all that wrinkly skin. What is that called? I don't know. I don't have to use it yet. My body's kind of right there, right? It's just, ooh, so tight. So tight. Yeah, even the ass. I got a tight ass too. This bad boy right here, you know how you get a tight ass? 80-pound backpack hiking through the woods. It helps with those legs, helps with those calves. Ooh, and that ass. I bet you, if a man smacked my ass right now, he'd be going, woo-hoo, that hurt. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right? Oh, yeah, that tight little booty right there. You know why I'm talking about my butt? Because if anybody's concerned about it, you can kiss it. Welcome to the new Bullhorn Betty channel. This is called Bullhorn Petty Crime Stories. Oh, I'm sorry, bitch stories. Sorry, we're complaining. Complaining stories. Sorry. I don't know what I'm thinking. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing over here, right? It's my first rodeo over here. It's my first rodeo over here. Where is the one that I got buttons. I got hundreds and hundreds of buttons. Stay back. Stay back. So when I'm looking into the reality of this case, when I'm looking at, we are provided with some information, we have some direction to go. Business robberies, business, storage unit thefts, antiques, drugs, stuff that's worth a lot of money. The drugs most likely are not ones that people would report stolen, or are they? What if they're knocking off? Because right about this time, with all this stuff going on, this is when the whole pill mills were being stopped in their community. So it looked like one of their doctors in the area that did pain management may have was indicted or something on something I was reading about. You guys need to look into that aspect, because there was a doctor in the area that, if I'm not mistaken, was indicted or had to close his practice, and it was all related to the pills, these opioid type pills. So this doctor, so all this stuff is happening. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of this organized crime that's being published. We're not seeing it in the news. We're not seeing it in any reports. So I'm like, okay, this isn't making sense. There's got to be, here it is, right here. So this is right around the time when one of their healthcare workers is sentenced for healthcare fraud, and it has something to do with, let's see, just read here. Yeah, it's a pharmacy. Owner of Bardstown oldest pharmacy, Crumb Drugs, established in 1952, was sentenced to 27 months in prison for healthcare fraud. He was bought the store in 2010 and admitted over the 2 years he created fraudulent prescriptions, then billed private insurance company and government for them, even though they were never filled, reaping $250,000 in compensation. Now, where do those pills go? They said even though they weren't filled. How do we know they weren't filled? They have to think of a federal investigation. They probably know whether he had the drugs to fill these prescriptions worth almost $250,000. Now, I don't know why this man did this, but could this all be part of that? I don't know. All I know is that Jason Ellis was searching for something, and there's a lot of weird hinky crap going on in Bardstown at this time. A lot of hinky crap. So I have no clue, but there's a lot of underhanded dealings in this community of only 13,000 people. So it is concerning. I have to be honest with you. It is just a tad bit concerning. And so as I'm diving into all of this, I'm looking at all possible scenarios of, stores being, because it said businesses too. This is related to cell phone thefts of an AT&T or Verizon store. They found the people involved in this during that time. So I'm keeping going. I'm like, okay, well, let's just keep going. Let's just, read and see what other businesses. This is all the way in Louisville. And this is about more cell phones being stolen and the people that stole them selling them. And I keep going. I'm trying to find the truth. I'm trying to find out what's going on here, and how does this affect the case, and is this associated? So I keep going back to these cases that are in and around this 2011 to 2014 time frame to see what we can find. And so I'm looking at, things like serial burglars, any type of burglary of storage units, businesses, what connection were the same MOs used? Were the people for these crimes caught? Who were they? Do they link back to the Houcks in any way? So there's a huge process that's going on behind the scenes here at the Bullhorn Betty channel, trying to find out those questions. And so far, I'm striking out. I'm not finding any of these that have been reported to the news and have been public, because again, I'm sitting in Florida. This is all happening in Kentucky. And so I'm looking at all this for the entire state of Kentucky. I want to know what is going on here. And I can't find anything linking Brooks Houck or Nick Houck or any of the people that they are associated with that we know of. There may be some people we don't know, and that's probably where a lot of this problem with Jason Ellis may reside, is in the people we don't know. Is there somebody above Brooks Houck giving him and his mother orders? It's possible. Is it probable? I really don't know. I really don't know. So I go through all of this stuff. I'm searching from 2010 all the way up. I think my stop was January 1st, 2015, because by this time, Jason Ellis is already dead. And I want to see if these types of activities resumed after his death, because usually they're taking somebody out so they're not getting caught, or to stop, to make sure that their flow can still go, right? That there's nothing stopping that flow. So I took some time. I just want to show you, that I really did take my time and go through this stuff related to find out whether that oxygen story held water. And maybe this is the reason why they kept saying in that article that these were not substantiated allegations, because I'm really not seeing the connection. Now, if somebody has been in the area, I know there's a lot of people, the way I'm flagging these, we're utilizing search engine optimization to tag some of the people in this community to start talking. And I just am curious if anybody lives in this community, if they know specifically how Jason Ellis, even if it's speculative, as long as your boots on the ground in the area and you kind of know this case and you've heard, through the grapevine in your community, what could have happened that led to Jason Ellis's death, I'd like to know. Is this what's being truly said about the case, what we're reading in the Oxygen article? Or is there something else? Because I feel like there's organized crime here, and I was looking at these storage unit claims, and I'm just not seeing anything. I don't think I think it's something like that, but I don't think it's that specifically. I can't, if it is, I can't make heads or tails of it, because I literally have gone through, I don't know, good Lord, 50 articles of storage unit thefts. And so far, I haven't found one that's been, or has read as unsolved. Most of them had all updates actually on the report. So it would say like something like this happened on February 28, 2013. And then you'd see the updated where it says updated February, 2015, and it's the result of the court hearing. So you have the court hearing up at the top, and then you have the original reading of what happened down below. So these have been updated, and so most of these cases, from what I can see, have been solved and resolved, and the people that are responsible for the breaking and entering of these storage unit and or businesses have been adjudicated. They have either been found guilty or not guilty and have gone to their respective places to carry out their sentencing. That's what I'm reading for the most part. So I'm really just not able for the life of me to determine which storage units. And then there was another, listen to this, there was another upbeat in a whole bunch of storage units being broken into in 2018. And so I was looking at those as well, saying, hey, could this be a part of it? Maybe they something happened, they killed Jason Ellis. They needed to wait and let things die down before they could resume their business practices. So is this part of it? Well, I'm looking in that as well. And then I find out that this person has been already caught and has been identified as the person that is responsible. There's other ones in here with the sheriff and people stealing shoes from a collection agency or a collection bin. Again, they caught that person that burglarized for the shoes. They've got another person here for the some storage units back in 2023, and this is from storage unit thefts. It doesn't say the date of this theft, but as you can see, they've got the person in jail. So far, I haven't really been able to find this massive organized crime ring related to storage units and businesses in and around the Bardstown area. I just can't find it. So I'm almost back to the drawing block when it comes to Jason Ellis and Jason Ellis's connection to Crystal Rogers and Tommy Ballard. We know that that connection either has to be by way of the Houcks or by way of the Lawsons. That's the only thing I can figure, or by way of Mafia Mom. You know, Mafia Mom. We keep forgetting about her. Can you imagine if all three of them, Mafia Mom, Nick Houck, and Brooks Houck, were all implicated in different murders? Because if we were to take, which I'm starting to poke holes in the Oxygen article, but if we were to take that as true about how there was one main person that hired 4 guys to take this guy out because of thefts going on in and around Bardstown, like, and you have to look at it even further and think that this has to be really targeted, you know, for the storage units to make it worth your while to get the antiques and the drugs. You're talking about a major spying campaign on people to be able to know what's in their storage unit, especially if it was drugs. But it makes you wonder what happened, like that pharmacist. How do we know that pharmacist wasn't getting paid from these companies for these fictitious prescriptions? How do we know he wasn't filling them and giving them to other people? It didn't say one way or the other in that article, and I don't know if they looked into that allegation. Could he have been passing that out to, say, Brooks Houck or his folks or his people, and they were selling him? Is Brooks the drug dealer of Bardstown? I've always asked that. I wanted to know that, right? Or what other crimes or organized crimes is he involved in? Again, even if it's not drugs, there's a lot of criminal enterprise activities that go along with people that handle drugs and stuff, such as money laundering. Somebody needs to wash their money so it's clean, because you can't take unlaundered money and go purchase a home. There's a lot of ways to launder money. I was in the financial sector. I did a lot of insurance and insurance policies. I know how easy it is to use insurance companies to launder money. Believe it or not, it's fairly easy. How do you do it? How do you wash money through insurance companies? This is how you do it. And this is what they train us to be cognizant on, is that you purchase, say you want to purchase a life insurance policy. Maybe you want a face value life insurance policy, a whole term policy, and you want to go ahead and pay it in full. Okay. So say you want a policy that you pay in full. You pay in full at $100,000, and they give you a policy that's maybe a life insurance policy that's worth $200,000, right? And they give you how much your money is putting toward that life insurance policy or something like that. Well, either way, you can purchase, and even annuities. You can purchase annuities and say put $500,000 in an annuity, or if you want to do something smaller or just need to wash smaller amounts, maybe $20,000 or $30,000, you put it into this annuity. You sign all your paperwork. Well, you have a grace period in which you can cancel that policy. So now you've wrote a check with the bad money. You sent the bad money over to the insurance company. You cancel your policy. The insurance company sends you the good money back to you. And now you have a check from an insurance company going into your checking account. So there are some stuff. What does it say? Karen, really? Didn't Jason have a child that was in the class of the mother and the daughter that was murdered? Can't remember the name. My understanding was at the time of his death, he had 2 small children. They had only been married 9 years. I don't know what their ages of their children. I think it's on his obituary. Hold on. Should have this. So his obituary reads, I'll just read the whole thing. Bardstown, Jason Ellis, 33, died Saturday, May 25th, 2013. He was born September 22nd, 1979. You know, wow, that's he had probably a personality and a work ethic like mine, because it looks like he's a Virgo, right on the cusp. He might be over the other side, but right there, because I'm the 17th, he's the 22nd. He was born September 22nd, 1979 in Cincinnati, Ohio, a police officer for Bardstown Police Department, a K-9 officer, and a 1998 graduate from Glen Estee High in Cincinnati, where he was a first-team All-City in 1998, the Player of the Year in Queen City Conference, played baseball for what is now the University of Cumberland in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and in minor league Billings Mustangs in Montana. He was active in youth sports in Nelson County as a coach. He was a member of the NNDDA K-9 Association, local Fraternal Order of Police number 43, Special Response Team, and attended Bloomfield Baptist Church. He was predeceased in death by his father, Charles D. Ellis, maternal grandmother, Eugene Hemming, maternal grandmother, Grace Marie, paternal grandmother, Anna Lou. He is survived by his wife, Amy Ellis, and their two sons, Hunter and Parker. And it doesn't say how old the two sons, but there was an article in there. Hold on, let me see. Okay, well, so it looks like his children, his sons, were 6 and 7 when he was tragically taken. So this girl, the daughter of the two Netherlands. Let me see how old they were. And the other one was in 10th grade. There's no way that they would have been in school together, because even if Jason's oldest son was 7, so he had a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old at the time he was tragically taken, and even that was in 2013. The Netherlands were killed in 2014, and the daughter was in 10th grade. So it doesn't sound like there's any possibility of the daughter in the Netherlands case going to school with the children of Ellis. So I don't think, I think that might have been maybe somebody misunderstood or didn't know, or maybe it was just like maybe an assumption, or, sometimes we theorize a lot, and sometimes even when we don't have information, we'll say, some people will say, well, maybe they went to school together, and somebody might hear they did go to school together. And next thing you know, you have the situation of telephone, where it started out where they could have been in the same school to now that they are in the same school, in the same classroom, and knew each other and ate lunch together every day. It's crazy how the story kind of evolves, but I don't know. I don't know how true it is. Based on what I'm seeing here, it doesn't appear that it holds water, but I don't know. Jason has a disabled and an autistic child. I haven't read any reports that say that so far. It doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means maybe I haven't gotten to it yet. I have no earthly idea. Good morning, Wolf. It's nice to see you, my love. Not new to me. I'm 30 miles away. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know much about I'm just now learning about the Jason Ellis case. I have more information and more research invested in Brooks Houck and the Crystal Rogers case more than anything, any other aspect of this case. And now that I'm, and I just started looking into Nick Houck, just about a month ago, maybe less. I think maybe just about a month ago, I think we started hearing about Nick Houck, and I started doing some preliminary review on him rather. And then all of a sudden, we have these arrests starting to come out. And then of course, Steve Lawson's arrest, I kind of let the case die down and haven't really focused on it. And then when Steve Lawson was arrested, it was like, okay, we really need to dive into this. There's a lot of hands in this. There's a lot more people involved than we think. I just want to look at everything. I want to see everything for myself. Obviously, this is other people's work. I can't get the feel, touch, and sense of myself in this case until I'm out there. But based on what I'm seeing here, there's going to be more. And I don't mean, one or two. I think there's going to be a lot of people. I think this was a corporate enterprise. I think this was a criminal corporate enterprise that was conducting its business under the light while maintaining a reputable business facade during the day. I think it was an underbelly of the society in Bardstown at night. I have nothing. I've got a gut, right? So right now I'm working off my gut on this, and everything is leading to. Listen, law enforcement has a heck of a lot more information than we will ever know until the trial. And even when we get to the trial, right, we're still not going to hear everything, because there's going to be so much that they've already argued to have removed, not because it's too prejudicial. There's just a lot motions still for limiting motions, for protective order. There's just a lot of motions that are going to be involved that are going to take a lot of information that we should know, facts about the case that are going to be removed from it in an effort to give the person responsible, i.e. Brooks Houck, a fair trial. So even when we get to the trial phase, we're still not going to know the totality of this case. We're never going to know the totality of this case. But what we do learn is that it does feel like there was multiple people involved in the ambush style killing of Jason Ellis. They say 4 or 5 people. The family feels like multiple people were involved. We're not saying that the Houcks were involved, and we're not saying the Lawsons were involved. I'm just saying that the law enforcement has clearly told us the Ellis case is related to Crystal Rogers and Tommy Lawson. That's what we know. That came from law enforcement. That came from the media out there in the area. His name is sitting right next to Crystal Rogers and Tommy Ballard. There's a reason for that. They are connected. We don't know why they're connected, but they're definitely connected. And when we remove the things that they could not be connected by, like the love affair, the love triangle, right? That's removed because there's nothing in the past that say there's infidelity, or that this was a love triangle, or somebody wanted to retaliate against somebody because they slept with a significant other of another person. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't seem to be emotional, love, matters of the heart related. So it leaves 2 other options. Was this political jealousy? And to move somebody out of the way to paint a path, to open up a path for another political opponent? Or was this organized crime? Those are 2 viable options at this moment, because we know that Brooks, even though he has no law enforcement experience whatsoever, it appears almost a few months after, or several months after the death of Jason Ellis, he put his hat into the running to become sheriff of Bardstown. I find that weird for me. Do I think that it's a political jealousy or anything like that? No, I really don't. I think it's organized crime. That's my personal preference at this point based upon what I'm seeing. What type of organized crime? That's the question I have. I don't know. I really don't. Let's see what else we did. Let's see what Izzy says. No, Jason didn't have a daughter the age of the Netherlands daughter that was murdered. Yeah, I didn't think so. Can I just look that up? Okay, thank you. So you were getting, yeah, I didn't realize you were in the chat. I would have rolled up. I just checked it out myself. You're right about that. I see a good question here. Do we know if the owner of the pharmacy was related to Houck? I don't know anything about this. Great question. Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek here. What's his name? His name was Timothy Sizemore. Let's look. Why not? Let's see if there's any Houcks in his past. Make sure my screen isn't up. I don't want to be sharing some information. Let me go back to the pharmacy owner. I'm just going to do Sizemore. Timothy Sizemore. Okay, so Timothy Lee Sizemore. Let's see what we got here. We'll see. But see, you know, there's country folks out there, you know, you like at my place. Okay. Sizemore. We got a Keith Sizemore. Associates, Patterson, Kennedy, Lee, 7 more. Let's see what the other one are. Shepard. Why does Brian Shepard ring a bell to me? I don't see one. Hold on here. $1985. How about Nick Houck? Hold on. Give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to get some information for you. So Nick is younger than his brother by, it looks like almost 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? No, that's not right. He's 43. Does anybody know what Nick's birthday is? Let me just keep reading. So the reason why I'm looking into the pharmacist is because he was born in 1976. And it appears that Brooke was born in 1985. And I'm thinking his brother's older, even though it says Nick Houck is born, but I don't think that's related to the right one. But I don't know if Nick is older or younger. He was born in 1943 now. So it sounds like he is the younger brother, but it says Nick B. Houck, and this is Springfield Road. And I remember him saying something about a Springfield Road address in Bloomfield, Kentucky. And it says he was born in 1979. So it is possible. It is possible if, depending on, let me just look up Nick's information. Give me just a second. Let me just look up all their damn date of births instead of relying on Google. Okay, so he is 44. So he's born in he has to be born in 1979. It's pulling it up now. December 1979. So he's just about 3 months younger than me. And about 3 months younger, 2 to 3 months younger than, so he was born the same year. So Nick and Jason are about the same age. The pharmacy owner is about 3 years older. So the pharmacy owner is 47 years old. It does appear that the pharmacy owner is a it might be a generational out there. Everybody in his family's from Kentucky, except there's a couple from Alabama. But everybody else is from Kentucky. So it sounds like he's this pharmacy owner is a Kentucky native. And he's just sentenced to 25 or some odd months in jail for the fraud, the prescription fraud. But this is like the biggest thing that I have found so far that is any kind of organized crime feel to it is this pharmacy. So I don't know. I don't know. That's the information that I've got for the pharmacist and the connection between them. So it sounds like Nick and Jason, both born in the same year, 1979. The pharmacist was born in 1976. So they probably did know each other, and they probably knew each other very well. I really don't know. That's just the information that I'm able to unearth. Our news station in Louisville is Wave 3. Yeah, I got that's where I've been getting most of my information. Can't go back to work. Well, you need to get just take your pain medication. Don't let that. That's the one thing I told the real me too. When she got out of the hospital, I just start taking, I told you too, start taking your medication now, get that build up, because when that pain blocker comes off, that nerve blocker comes off and your anesthesia starts wearing off, that throbbing will set in. And if you can just get ahead of that throbbing before, like when I get out of surgery, I wait about 4 hours after surgery and I start popping my first medication. They always tell you to wait until the next day. I never wait until the next day. 2 to 4 hours, I'm taking some medication because it just helps. It just helps. Once I get past that first and second day, that's it. I'm on ibuprofen, Aleve, or something else. I just need to get through that intense next day pain. And so just make sure you're taking, if you go in for surgery, make sure when you get out of surgery, you try, as soon as you can keep something down your stomach and eat, take your medication. Didn't Jason Ellis have a child? Oh, yeah. We talked about that, Karen. Thank you. The mother was a special ed teacher. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into the Netherlands case. But it's definitely something that we do need to look into, at least who they were associated with. I mean, this is just a small community, and they were targeted, right? They were targeted, and Jason was targeted. How many people actually target people in a small community of 13,000? I mean, how many murderers walk amongst them? How many could possibly be amongst 13,000 people in a place called Bardstown, Kentucky? It's just this is like just odd for me. Are the Houck serial killers? Legit question at this point. Have you clicked the thumbs up? If you guys have not clicked the thumbs up, please do so. This is what keeps me going, is the views and the clicks, right? We work here. Even though I'm not getting paid. Everybody's like, oh, you're still getting paid. I still have to eat 2 weeks no matter how you look at it. This channel has to eat 2 weeks over false strikes. I've never caused any creator financial harm. I have never taken anybody's channel, despite the hundreds of hours they've stole from me for profit. The hundreds of hours. It's bull. It's bull. But we are doing a campaign to light it up. This is another thing that those people, those horrible animals that don't do anything for anybody, want to criticize. This is all Jen wanted. Her cohorts, or her other half, like her husband, her ex-husband, or the father of Layla and his girlfriend, they want a shit ton of gifts. You know what Jen wants? She wants something for Layla, and it's called Light It Up. That's what she asked for from the community. She didn't ask for gift cards to Hollister on Nova Grace's gift wish list. She didn't ask for boy diapers on Nova Grace's wish list. She didn't ask for things that aren't going to Nova Grace on Nova Grace's wish list. You know what she asked for? She asked for us to light it up, to do a beautiful light display in Layla's honor. So if you wish to donate to that, please consider donating to that P.O. box right there. They can use lights. They can use decorations. They can use funds to put on this spectacular in Layla's honor. And I hope people that would like to promote something like this instead of somebody's Christmas list, you know, and we just did a Christmas list too, right? But our Christmas list was designed for one person and one person only. It wasn't designed for me to get something out of it. It wasn't designed for my audience to get something out of it. It wasn't designed for my family to get something out of it. It was designed for the person that needed help. It was not self-serving. It was not to unjustly enrich myself. It was for an 8-year-old boy. His name is Grayson. And this right here is for a beautiful girl named Layla Santinello. Rumors are crazy around this case. I know, that's why we're trying to kind of, you know, I'm just getting into this case. I don't listen to other channels when I'm doing my fact finding of the case, because I feel like it dilutes me. It makes me go down different rabbit holes that I would not find otherwise. So I find if I just stick to the facts of the case and review the information coming from legitimate resources, then I feel like we have a little better chance of really understanding this case. I can tell you right now, based on everything I've read so far, there's nothing really leading us to the connection between Jason Ellis, to the Houcks, to the Lawsons, or to Crystal or her father, Tommy. I'm not seeing that connection yet. We know it's there because law enforcement says it's there. We're just not finding it. We read an article that basically says that this may have something to do with a ring of high retail storage unit and business thefts. I'm not sure if that's true. Well, I guess maybe we should ask how that would be true, right? How would that be true? Could it be possible that these people are, like, even the suspects that are being charged with these crimes? Is it possible that, you know, Nick or Brooks is approaching them and saying, hey, we know you steal and you rob from people. If you bring me the, you know, your bounty, I'll throw you some cash. Maybe he's not even getting his hands dirty. Maybe he is just truly washing money and getting all this stuff and buying, like, dealing in stolen property more so than anything else. Maybe he's not the one getting dirty, but he's supporting the people that are. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's if we were looking at the whole business and storage unit. Could it be possible? Yes, but I keep thinking about it. Bardstown, 13,000 people. Like, they would literally have to rob all 13,000 people to come up with $8 million. So I think it might be a little bigger than that. I really do. I think that there's more here. I think this is much bigger than some petty storage wars, so to speak, right? I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Like, I kind of feel like that the whole, it sounded good yesterday when we were reading it about the whole storage units, but like I said, I've turned this internet upside down. So if you guys can find something that I'm not seeing, send it to me. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. It was tomorrow. Crystal was friends. Oh, it was tomorrow. Crystal was friends with the Netherlands. I guess the question, Susan, would be, how was she friends with them? Because we're not seeing anything connecting her to them. And I don't know where you're getting that information. And without me eyeballing it myself, I can't determine if that holds water or not. Because this is, so far, everything I've researched, which I started off with Crystal at the beginning, Crystal and Brooke at the beginning, and nothing, I didn't even learn of the Netherlands until yesterday or the day before yesterday. Somebody had brought it up. And then I think it was live yesterday that somebody brought it up again. I can't remember how that all played out. But I haven't seen anything in any of my research that even brought me to the Netherlands. Had it not been somebody here in this chat, I don't know if my direction would have went to the Netherlands eventually, because we did learn that there's 5 unsolved homicides. And I was actually looking in to find out who 4 and 5 were. So I would have stumbled across their case organically just in the research that I'm doing here, but I still haven't made any connection. But you know what, to be honest with you, I still haven't made any connection with Jason Ellis. The only reason why I know Jason Ellis is associated with this case is because I can read law enforcement stuff saying that he's associated with this case. That literally is the only reason. So far, I haven't even linked outside of Nick Houck working with him. And think of how flimsy that connection is. Another officer worked with him. That's it. Another officer that's implicated in another murder. Now, that makes it a little more fishy, but it's still just an officer he worked with at the time. There's nothing, literally nothing that we can see as the public or media that says the connection 100%, at least that I haven't found it. Is it in some small publication somewhere? It might be. It might be. So guys, do your research. Your search might come up something different, whatever area you're in. We all have different internet service providers. Even though Google is Google, you may search it with one way. I may search it another way. You may have better results than the way I search. So do some searches on Jason Ellis. What we're trying to do and what we're trying to determine is the connection. I am so interested in that connection because I cannot seem, I know that it is there. I know it has to do with some type of crime. I feel it in my gut that it has something to do with some type of crime. I just want to know who. And we know it has to be the Houcks or the Lawsons because those are the only connecting factors to Crystal Turner or Crystal Rogers and Tommy Ballard. Those are the only connections, those 4 people so far. Who else is talking behind the scenes that we don't know about? There was a drug ring in the sheriff's department where they were running drugs by officers through Bardstown. I want to get articles on that. I want to know who knows that. That's the kind of shit that gets you shot and ambushed. This is the type of stuff that I'm looking for. I don't know if the petty swindling of the storage unit rose to the level of ambushing a star cop. But something like this, on the other hand, yeah, that's enough to get somebody killed. Who's this rapper? I don't see him in chat. You must be getting them down. Oh, no, rap should still be in here somewhere. I don't know. I don't know who he is. People call him a troll. I don't know if he really is a troll. I don't know if he's just, just here to just engage with people and people have been mean to him and, he's kind of nasty and mean to other people because of it. I don't know. I don't know what his story is. All I know is when he comes in here, most of the time he's pretty nice to me. There's been times that I've had to kick him out myself. I don't like kicking him out because I feel like he's a good guy. He just needs to, find a little more love and direction in his life. That's personally how I think about it. So, let's see here. Sounds like family has ties too. Yeah, there's something. I do think I remember, let's see what Brittany says. It says, I do think I remember hearing that maybe the Netherlands had babies. Now, that is possible. Babysat. But I'm not sure. Now that would be possible. Now I could see the daughter, babysitting for a few bucks. That's what we all did when we were younger to help make money, help us buy us our shoes or our skates. I don't know who skates anymore. I think all the skating rinks are down. We were like, what's skating? We're old. Once upon a time, there was no internet. Okay, you young ducks out there, there was no such thing as internet. Okay, you had to find things to keep yourself busy. Okay, skating was one of those pastimes for a lot of us. And you know what? At the skating rink, I can honestly tell you, a lot of girls and boys lost their first kisses, right? In there, right? You go over in the back room, they're eating on one of those churros with their tongues down each other's neck. No funny business going on. At least I didn't see it back in my time, but definitely kids being all down each other's throat and bleh. I don't know. Yeah, not sure how it's looking. Some said daughter was babysitting. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Brittany says it's been long, ate hard. 8 years, hard to remember everything that's going on so far. Yeah, I think that's what makes it good, what I'm doing, because I'm kind of coming in here with fresh eyes. I have not really reviewed this case. So I'm kind of going back to the beginning, and I'm really reading a lot of stuff. And just when you kind of think you got it, you research a certain fact, like this whole storage unit thing, and then you realize it really just doesn't hold water. And you know what? And even thinking about it, after I realized it didn't hold water, I started going back and thinking about the allegations made about the storage unit. And I'm just thinking, this is some petty, young person stuff. If somebody like Brooks, if he's going to get involved in crime, it's a go big or go home type of crime. It's not knocking over businesses and storage units. And how do they identify which storage units to knock over? Maybe it has to do with the houses he's working on and knowing their people's business. I mean, I just don't see it. Like, if everybody that was Brooks Houck's client, that had to put their stuff in storage, and you would know that all the units hit were his clients. So it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when you look at it holistically and from a bird's eye view looking in. It just doesn't make sense. This is too low level for him. Let me repeat that. This is too low level for him. Because when you're dealing with millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're talking about bigger gigs, okay? You're talking about, say, knocking over bourbon, alcohol distribution, going back to the Prohibition days, or riding and robbing for some booze. Maybe. And you guys are hearing me talk about this, and you're saying, okay, what's Betty up to? Why is she talking about booze? Because believe it or not, that's really the only case that I found in Louisville, in Kentucky. That was the closest thing I came to a real legit. Oh, here we still have more. Let me put this back up. I mean, I went through like 100 cases this morning over this stupid burglary, the storage units. There's a lot of storage units being knocked over. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of storage units knocked over, and there is a lot of theft going on in their community. I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't. What I am saying is that it doesn't appear to be somebody associated with Brooks Houck, but could these be his employees? I mean, the Lawsons weren't his employees. Could these be some of his employees stealing? This is back in 2012. If anybody knows Brooks Houck or his family, do these look like some employees of his? Because that would really be the only way that he's getting this money, by knocking over these storage units. I don't see Brooke or Nick being caught in a storage unit stealing stuff. They're going to be getting putts like this to do their dirty lifting, and they're going to pay them. Whatever they bring back, they give them a portion of, say they got $50,000. $50,000 in merch. Well, you can't take it to a pawn shop because you're going to get caught. So if you have $50,000 with merch, a person will give you $5,000 for it, and they'll get rid of it. They'll find a way to dispose of it and make the rest of the money back. That's how it works. So could that be a situation like that? This is from Columbia County. It very well could be. But these are the cases that I'm finding. And as you notice, every case that I'm finding, guess what? The number one thing is the suspects were caught. The suspects were caught. And of course, they did search Crystal Rogers' storage unit in Kentucky. I wonder what was in that. I really do. So again, this comes back to our story that kind of kicked this whole thing off as to why I'm even looking into the burglary stuff. It's because this Oxygen true crime story came out. And again, this was related to somebody that's in jail, that's running their mouth, that's saying that, this could be, this was so that these loose ends were tied up. This inmate is telling them that at least 4 men were involved. Right now, there's 4 men involved in Crystal and Tommy's case, and those 4 men are the 2 Houck brothers and the father and son Lawson men. Those are 4 people right there. But again, I looked into the allegations into this story, and I'm hitting walls. I'm just literally hitting as many walls as you can possibly imagine. And so I'm trying to find any information that will help. And so I'm kind of left with other people. And this is Night of True Crime with Shay McAllister. She's one of the people that we follow out there in Bardstown related to this. What else do we have? The swimming pool company paid for his service. However, many didn't receive their pools of their dreams. Obviously he's not being argued about that. FBI warrants in Crystal Rogers' case are sealed, and agents still continue the search, so we can't even find out. And I think that's about it. There was something else that popped up, and I can't seem to find it for whatever reason. I really can't seem to find it. Let me see if it's at the beginning. But that's really it. I don't see any crimes, no storage unit crimes. The only thing I see is this pharmacy owner. And there was one that came out of Tennessee. Is this one it? No, this is the other one. And it was bootlegging this bourbon. And that was the only one that else. And where is it? I can't find it right now. I'll have to go back. Oh, there it is, right here. Here it is. And this is the only other one I can find, where 9 people are charged in this Kentucky retail ring. And this was updated in 2023, but this was happening back in 2015. And this was a huge, massive, you don't even think about it, but the thefts included massive heist. A massive heist is in this thing. The thefts include a massive heist of Pappy Van Winkle bourbon that made national headlines in October 2013, some of which have been recovered. So not even all the bounty on this has been recovered. Some of it has been recovered. It's estimated that the stolen bourbon was worth more than $100,000 overall. Authorities say the scheme has been going on for at least 7 years, involves thousands of dollars worth of bourbon, reportedly more than one person could drink in a lifetime. During a Tuesday afternoon press conference, Sheriff Melton became emotional as he told reporters about the resources and man hours that went into apprehending this ring. We did not have any rocks unturned, he said. These people are very passionate about what they do. Authorities say 17 wooden barrels of bourbon, 20 cases of Pappy Van Winkle, and 1 stainless steel barrel of Eagle Rare worth $11,000 to $12,000 were recovered. More stolen bourbon could be out there. Buyers of the stolen bourbon were typically paying far less than the retail value, according to the sheriff's office. Investigators say they do not believe any of the stolen bourbon was sold on the retail market. This has been a 6 weeks that these guys have worked anywhere from 10 to 18 hours a day for 6 weeks straight. Huge investigation, a lot of hours, a lot of time, Sheriff Melton said. Pappy Van Winkle representative came to the test test the recovered bourbon. Officials say they were told some of the bourbon barrels will have to be destroyed, but that the investigators hope the unopened barrels could be returned to the Van Winkle family. So that's something that's organized crime related. That's something, those are the types of cases that I'm kind of looking for when, type of cases that I'm looking for whenever we're talking about organized crime. This is a prime example of what I kind of expect to have Jason Ellis killed over. Okay. I'm not talking about petty crimes, knocking over, getting $20,000 or $30,000 of stolen merchandise. It's the $100,000 tags that I believe are more kind of in the realm of possibilities for the Houck family. No, the Netherlands, let's see what Izzy says. No, the Netherlands never did babysit for Crystal or Jason's children that had been debunked by police. Okay, good. So there's really no connection between them. And I have to think that law enforcement really thought that they were connected to this case. They would have them right up there with Jason Ellis, Crystal Rogers, and Tommy Ballard. Whenever you see the thumbnails, it's all three. It's the officer, Crystal, and her dad. Those are the cases that are connected. I think the Netherlands cases, when I looked into it, I did read a couple articles last night about the Netherlands, and I think I read them on here as a matter of fact, but it sounded like this was a targeted hit, and I don't know what they mean by targeted. Was it targeted because of the mom or targeted because of the child? I have a funny feeling the mom was targeted. She was a single mom. We don't know if there was somebody messing around with her daughter. We don't know if she was dating somebody. We don't know if she was in a bad relationship. We don't know her lifestyle other than she was single. I'm sure somebody does know, but the law enforcement believes this is targeted for them. And so, usually that's a significant other, somebody close to them, somebody that they know, for whatever that is. But it just doesn't seem like law enforcement believes that it has anything at all to do with the other three homicides. Betty Shea McAllister has a new Facebook post with the interview with Steve Lawson's attorney, posted 50 minutes ago. Okay. On her Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. Let me go back to Shea. Okay, let me go back. I don't know how I got here, to be honest with you. I really don't know. Hold on, I got a Shea McAllister. Hold on. Oh, here we go.
Looked like they were trying to find evidence.
Hold on.
Satisfied, the Commonwealth wasn't satisfied with respect to what they had. They were looking for more.
What do you think they have on him?
I don't know if they have any more than I've told you, but they apparently they chose to indict him rather than give him the immunity that he was promised.
Oh, so he had been in discussions with them.
He has, and I have.
Regarding some sort of deal?
Immunity.
To say what he knows.
What's known as transactional immunity.
About how many times do you think police have been in touch with Stephen?
Over a dozen.
Just this year?
Many more than a dozen.
From your understanding, was Stephen Lawson involved in the death of Crystal Rogers?
No, he was not.
What do you think his connection is to this case?
He was an employee, part-time employee of Houck, and he had an association with Houck. Mr. Houck has had conversations with him about Crystal, and that's the extent of my client's involvement.
And what about that phone call? Police have released it as that it was from the interrogation room.
That's correct.
What do you make of that phone call?
It was a set-up phone call. One was supposed to call the other.
Give me just a second. I'm gonna have to pause this. I'm sorry.
They spoke.
And what about?
I want to hear this, and I'm having an issue right here. I can't find what I need for my. Give me just a second. I'm back, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't want you guys hearing me slamming around on the back end here. I'm going to start this over. I'm sorry. I wanted to hear it, and I had to leave. I had to go grab something. So let me just start. Oh, I'll start it back right here. There we go.
I don't know if they have any more than I've told you, but they apparently they chose to indict him rather than give him the immunity that he was promised.
Oh, so he had been in discussions with them.
He has, and I have.
Regarding some sort of deal?
Immunity.
To say what he knows.
What's known as transactional immunity.
About how many times do you think police have been in touch with Stephen?
Over a dozen.
Just this year?
Many more than a dozen.
From your understanding, was Stephen Lawson involved in the death of Crystal Rogers?
No, he was not.
What do you think his connection is to this case?
He was an employee, part-time employee of Houck, and he had an association with Houck. Mr. Houck has had conversations with him about Crystal, and that's the extent of my client's involvement.
And what about that phone call? Police have released it as that it was from the interrogation room.
That's correct.
What do you make of that phone call?
It was a set-up phone call. One was supposed to call the other, and the ring came in, and they spoke.
And what about
Boom.
Steve's son?
Steve's son.
He said, it sounds like it's Steve Lawson's attorney. It sounds like it's Steve Lawson's attorney, and he's saying that it was a setup call. So it sounds like Steve is cooperating. They may end up working toward an immunity, but I think they wanted to get him on the record. I think that applies a little more pressure to other people that are out there saying, oh crap, I'm next. Like say Nick Houck. I don't know.
I'm not sure about the evidence that they have against Steve's son. I know that he's extremely involved.
Do you think that Brooks Houck paid Joseph Lawson to help in the murder of Crystal Rogers?
He's not going to say. He can't.
I think the Commonwealth has been trying to establish that a payment was made. As to who that payment was made to.
Oh, shit. Here we go. There was payment made.
And when it was made, I'm not privy to that information yet.
What about the vehicle in this case?
Vehicle was that maroon vehicle that was parked out on mile marker 14 on the Bluegrass Parkway heading west. It was driven out there by Joey Lawson. He had a flat tire.
Holy crap. So now Joseph is the one that moved the vehicle. We're getting a clearer idea of what is going on in this case. A good idea. Oh, good Lord. Grow up. And no, I'm not. Oh, good Lord. If I was, then you wouldn't have to be in here saying that, right? Like, if I was... Idiots. Total idiots. If I'm going to jail, trust me, buddy, you'd be in jail before me.
At that mile marker. And my client received a phone call, went out there and got him. Brought him back.
So Steve has told you that he went and picked up Joey from the Bluegrass Parkway where he had driven Crystal's car.
He's told the state police that. Told FBI that.
I don't think it's him.
Told the Commonwealth's attorney that from Hardin County, who's in charge of the investigation.
Any other important details that you believe prove your client's innocence?
Other than his assertion that I did not hurt Crystal and was not involved in hurting Crystal. I didn't plan to hurt Crystal. I didn't conspire to hurt Crystal. Those are his statements. And that's what he has told the Kentucky State Police, the FBI, the Commonwealth's attorney time after time after time in this year.
What do you anticipate will happen in court next week? At Brooks Houck's arraignment, there was a lot of bombshells dropped. Do you think we'll hear something similar?
I do. And it's...
Uh-oh. They expect some more bombs to be dropped. Where's my big buttons? Hold on. Let me push some big buttons. How did this thing go off? It shouldn't have gone off. Allow? Yes, allow permission. Give me problems. Jeez Louise. There we go. Where's my audience left? I don't know. I like that one better. Wrong answer. There we go. I got my buttons back. I didn't realize they were off. So talk about some bombshells. Talk about some bombshells going on here in this matter. We expect more. So now we know there's a payment. We know Joseph moved a car. This is starting to paint a pretty disturbing picture. This attorney for Steve Lawson is expecting more bombs next week at the hearing. Wow. Okay. Okay, let's see. And I think everything is still sealed. Does anybody have the probable cause? I mean, he's arraigned. Brooks Houck is arraigned. Where's his probable? Why is this thing taking forever? Where is his probable cause affidavit? Jesus criminy, this is driving me nuts. So we've already got stuff coming out from 20 hours ago that attorneys claim Joseph Lawson drove Crystal's car to the Bluegrass Parkway, and his father, Steve Lawson, picked him up from there. So that's the information that they have right now. Let's see if this is the same stuff that we just heard.
This holiday season,
Sorry, I'll just let it go.
Give yourself the gift.
More than 8 years, this has been a critical piece of evidence in the case of Crystal Rogers and her disappearance. Her car, it was abandoned on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway with her keys, phone, and purse still inside. Tonight, for the first time, we are hearing details on how it could have ended up there. It is our top story here tonight at 6. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Prophet. That car, a point of key speculation for years. And tonight, WHS 11 Shay McAllister is here with the new answers on what you learned today from an attorney. Shay?
That's right, Doug. All of this new information coming from attorney Theodore Lavitt, who represents the newly arrested man, Steve Lawson. The attorney says his client had nothing to do with the death of Crystal Rogers, but was providing police with critical information in exchange for immunity. Immunity that came to an end with last week's indictment.
I did not hurt Crystal and was not involved in hurting Crystal. I didn't plan to hurt Crystal. I didn't conspire to hurt Crystal. Those are his statements.
Attorney Theodore Lavitt says his client, Steve Lawson, wasn't involved in the death of Crystal Rogers.
He was an employee, part-time employee of Houck. He had an association with Houck. Mr. Houck had conversations with him about Crystal. And that's the extent of my client's involvement.
Conversations like this one.
Hey, Steve.
From inside the Nelson County Sheriff's Office interrogation room just days after Crystal was first reported missing.
I just want to tell you I'm sorry about everything that's going on in your life, brother. I got you in my prayers. I said it is a very difficult and trying time, but I appreciate you saying that.
What do you make of that phone call?
It was a set-up phone call. One was supposed to call the other, and the ring came in and they spoke.
The attorney says Steve wasn't involved in the murder, but that he does have valuable information shared with police over more than a dozen meetings throughout the last year.
They chose to indict him rather than give him the immunity that he was promised.
Oh, so he had been in discussions with them?
He has, and I have.
Regarding some sort of deal?
Immunity.
See, and this is what I have a problem with. And I'm just going to throw this out there. And I don't really care. I am a person that believes in the honor system. Okay. And I will tell you that what he is describing has happened many times. I know that it's happened to people that have cooperated with law enforcement. Again, you know, when I say there needs to be sweeping criminal justice reform, there needs to be sweeping, you know, sentencing reform, I absolutely 100% believe it. And I mean it. Because this stuff here goes on a lot. It goes on a lot. It's where, you know, he has critical information. Without his critical information, now maybe they're a little hot under the collar at the fact that, why now? You should have done this before. You know, now you made us get the federal, you know, you made us come in because he's dealing with the feds now. But I got to tell you, when you're seeking stuff and you're in negotiations for immunity, now there are things that break that. For example, if you're saying I want immunity, I want to come clean, what I have will be what convicts the proper person, right? The proper person. Or they will give you immunity, say there was a murder and you are a drug dealer and you're facing lots of years in jail for drug charges. And you have information that would lead to the case being solved and somebody brought to justice in a homicide investigation, you have a good argument for immunity in your drug charge. But a requirement is for you to come clean and tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Like you are being provided a free pass. You are being provided a free pass. Your only requirement is to be totally honest. That means not one detail skewed. That means you did a crime, you say you did a crime. Whether you like to or not, whether you want to act like you weren't involved in it, it doesn't matter. Feds know everything. If you are getting a deal like this, you tell them everything. Now, maybe his client did. Maybe his client told them everything he knows, and they just railroaded him. It is possible. I've heard it before. But it also might be that they looked into all of his truthful allegations and found out that he wasn't being truthful. Either with his involvement, maybe because he's scared of acknowledging that he was more involved than he was. They're giving you a free pass. So I think by way of them charging him, one of two things are happening. They may be doing it to secure his testimony. They may be doing it because when he was offered the opportunity to come clean, he wasn't truthful and didn't come fully clean. So we don't know why. I mean, this is his attorney. His attorney is going to represent him to the best of his ability. And as long as he doesn't know that he did anything wrong, then he can say his client didn't do anything wrong. As soon as this attorney is aware of more wrongdoing, then there's a problem. But this guy seems very truthful. It seems like he's had his business or his law license for many years. Looks like he's well-versed in law and law practice and professionalism and ethics. And he's saying that Stephen picked up his son. He was fully cooperating. He does have information that will lead this investigation in the right way. All he's saying is he didn't know that this was going on. Yes, he realizes the little bit he had his hand in, like making that planned phone call. He realizes he did that, but it's a very minute part in it. Yes, was it deceptive? Yes, but here I'm giving you the big cheese. Can you just look the other way on my deceptiveness? And so maybe they looked at him and realized this might be another option. He didn't really have anything they didn't already know. They made the FBI work for it. And now he wants to come clean with information they already know. Day late, dollar short. You had your opportunity to do this years ago. You chose to wait until now, and you oversold your hand. Possible and probable. Possible and probable. Maybe Stephen has been arrested due to the police needing him in jail because the Houck family is dangerous. They don't need a witness being murdered. I don't know. That's too extreme. There's other ways to handle that. The people don't even realize. Much more under the radar. Not putting him in jail. I'm sorry, jail's not necessarily the safest place for people, right? I mean, look at that what is his name? Something Chauvin, the police officer, that whole thing. He was in jail. He wasn't safe. As a matter of fact, I don't even know how he is. Sounds like he was injured pretty bad. I don't know if they would do that. No. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's Kentucky. I don't know anything, like literally nothing about Kentucky. I know nothing about Kentucky. I know nothing about Kentucky law. I mean, like I said, I had the concept of law. They teach you the law. You got your community property and your commonwealths. There's two different types. I mean, everything's pretty much the same, just in different orders. One has, it's just different, but you learn both ways. So you have a good common, foundation, you have a common foundation of law, but I really, really don't know if they would do that though. I don't know. That seems too high risk for me.
This holiday season, something magical is coming your way. Give yourself the gift of badge printing.
It is one of those. It's one of those stations that apparently if you pause too long, it automatically starts it over again. And I don't have time for that. That stuff annoys the crap out of me. And it scares me too, We're sitting here and it's like, and a commercial just starts popping up and playing. And it's just, I don't know. Yay, you're still live. Had to do some running. I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, you missed a lot. We just went over. You're going to have to rewind because we just went over. Shay McAllister just found out some new details about this case kind of like an hour ago as we are live. She's talking about, she talked to the attorney for Steve Lawson, and the attorney basically said that was a planned call during Brooks Houck's Brooks Houck interview or interrogation with police on, I think it was July 8th, I believe, like 5 days after she went missing. And that Steve did, he wasn't involved in anything. All he simply did was pick up his son, and his son was driving her maroon car and left her maroon car on the side of the road on the Bluegrass Parkway Highway. What is it called? I don't think I have it here, but it's Bluegrass something, whatever it is out there in the in Kentucky. And so now we know that Joseph was probably more involved than we would like to know, because he was the one that was in her car. He's the one that left her purse and her keys and left it in there and disabled and whatever. So he went and so Steve went and picked up his son, Joseph. So it sounds like from this attorney that Stephen was actually cooperating with law enforcement and actually working on an immunity deal. So they were guaranteed an immunity deal if he came clean. That's what his attorney's saying. Let's go back to his attorney. That's some shit. I don't know what to say other than that. Damn. his client got railroaded. I just don't see why they would want to railroad him if he really was that insignificant. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, law enforcement is allowed to lie to you, but it's not usually normal and customary for law enforcement to engage in practices that say, tell you they're gonna do an immunity deal for you and then just totally railroad you, because in the grand scheme of things, they have to be able to do this with other people, to negotiate with other people, and if they don't have that trust, or they're worried about them following through with the deal, nobody would be making deals with them. Nobody would be looking for immunity. So I just, for whatever reason, I just don't believe um that they would just intentionally railroad them without good cause. And that's what a lot of my stuff is. Good cause. You have to have good cause. I was gone for a bit too. So we'll go back over it. The interrogators just told them in the interview, you have a chance to tell the truth, because if we find out, we won't give you any chances. That's what they said to Nick. We haven't seen any public interviews, at least I look for them, for Joseph or Stephen. Those other ones were released as a Freedom of Information Act thing, I think, because of how long it's been. Like they could only keep it quiet so long. So I think those got out, but I don't think anybody knew about, or even to request, Joseph Lawson or Steve Lawson. It sounds like that they probably gave interviews back in those days as well, but they were never made public. You know, either media wasn't interested in them and just didn't get them when they were getting the interviews for Nick and Brooks. But I can tell you now that there's arrest. If they were available at some point, they're most likely locked down now. So if anybody did actually get those or request those or receive those through Freedom of Information, it'd be a good time to start dropping them, because you got them while they were still available, and those could be beneficial to a lot of us. I mean, if people feel comfortable, obviously we don't want to mess with it. But these right here, the stuff that we got right now, those interviews that we got right now, I don't think those will be releasable now because of the investigation. So I don't know. Maybe because they're already out in the public, they might. I don't know. Let me just see here before we go over. Well, thanks for the rundown. Good. Yeah, you just stick around, Honey Dip, because I'm going to play this for you in just a second. I just want to see if there was any other questions that we need to pull up so we don't have to stop again. I mean, we'll stop throughout, but if I can catch a few at one time, that would be great. But we don't know if they haven't connected Steve back. Oh, as far as Ellis, or even in the involvement in Tommy. That is a good point, because I feel like it's the same network of people that's why they're so tight. I feel like they did a lot of bad stuff together, and that's why they trusted each other. I'm sorry. I try to look at this like from a bad guy perspective too. Like, who would you trust when you kill somebody? Who do you trust when you kill somebody? Even if you're a bad guy or a normal person that kills, I'm not going to go into the normal conversation, but you guys get my drift, right? What do? You call the people that you trust the most, right? You call the people that can help you, that will help you. You call the people that will help you. Unless you're Bullhorn Betty, then you just drag the dead body yourself, right? I don't trust anybody. I shouldn't be joking about it, but it is true. Like if I did something like this, I wouldn't trust anybody. Like literally nobody. There is not one person in the world that I trust with that secret. But clearly there are people that trust other people, and that's the problem. So there's a reason why he trusts them. They're not related to him. Nick, we can understand. Mafia Mom, we can kind of understand. They're all related to him. They may do dirty stuff to protect one another. We expect that in a family dynamic. I don't agree with it. I don't condone it. I think that that's horrible practice. But, the bottom line is we understand at least that. But the other people, the Lawsons, like they have to be some really, I'm sorry, you just don't trust just some coworker or some part-time employee with that kind of information. You don't trust a part-time employee that you don't know with cleaning up something like that you don't know. So there has to be a bigger connection, a bigger trust factor when it comes to Joseph, at least. at the minimum. They must have done a lot of dirty together for him to be the one to call to go dispose of the car. Joseph knew the very next day when the news came out that they found her car, he knew something happened to her. And he knew Brooks did it because Brooks is the one that asked him to move the damn car. He could have went to law enforcement. He chose not to. Starting to paint a clearer picture. I agree with this attorney coming out and talking about this. I agree with this. You know why? Because his client, it sounds like, got a little railroaded here, and he shouldn't be silent about it. And I think that's exactly what he did. I think he wanted to speak out on behalf of his client, especially if his client is being railroaded. And this, attorney feels like his client's being railroaded. And I have to believe, I mean, you look at him, he looks like, like what the F, I mean, he's an older guy, he's well tuned to not get too ruffled, not to let his emotions get to him. So he stays very calm. That's what I like about a lot of good attorneys. If you notice, really good attorneys remove all emotion out of it. They really do. They have this impeccable ability just to remove emotion out of it and to speak to people and to calmly explain. And they just have this demeanor about them. And it's just from years and years of work ethic and just experience of the ups and downs, the wins and the losses. And it just gives you a perspective. It allows you to remove your emotions and realize that all you can do is just fight your battles the best you can. There's no reason to get all hot under the collar. But I have to say, when an attorney gets hot under the collar that usually has a nice keel demeanor, this is what I would expect from him. And I got to say, I think I deserving of this. Forgot to add it. Hold on. Sorry. I dropped it the last time. There we go. There you guys go. It's coming up. Coming up now. So here's, for those that weren't here, here's the video. It is kind of jaw-dropping.
The investigation looked like, as far as you can tell?
Looked like they were trying to find evidence, and they hadn't found it yet, and they weren't satisfied. The Commonwealth wasn't satisfied with respect to what they had. They were looking for more.
What do you think they have on him?
I don't know if they have any more than I've told you, but they apparently they chose to indict him rather than give him the immunity that he was promised.
Oh, so he had been in discussions with them.
He has, and I have.
Regarding some sort of deal?
Immunity.
To say what he knows.
What's known as transactional immunity.
About how many times do you think police have been in touch with Stephen?
Over a dozen.
Just this year?
Many more than a dozen.
Oh, wow. See, it's a lot of conversations. So, let's keep listening.
From your understanding, was Stephen Lawson involved in the death of Crystal Rogers?
No, he was not.
What do you think his connection is to this case?
Okay, guys, I want you to pay attention. I want you to read I don't think he's lying here. I think this is what he truly believes. But just listen, I want you guys to pay close attention to what he's saying.
He was an employee, part-time employee of Houck, and he had an association with Houck. Mr. Houck has had conversations with him about Crystal, and that's the extent of my client's involvement.
And what about that phone call? Police have released it as that it was from the interrogation.
So he just basically said, this is my understanding of what he said. He was a part-time employee and he had conversations about Crystal. So it sounds like he has intimate knowledge about what happened to Crystal, because his attorney was very cautious. If you noticed, he kind of thought about how he was going to present the wording correctly whenever he was about to tell. He didn't want to give too much. You never want to give too much, especially in an active and ongoing investigation. Being an astute attorney, he's being very careful with the words and the language that he's using, not to divulge any more information than he absolutely has to. That's kind of my evaluation so far.
Room.
That's correct.
What do you make of that phone call?
It was a set-up phone call. One was supposed to call the other, and the ring came in, and they spoke.
And what?
So it was a setup call. This was rehearsed. We kind of got that, right? We went through the call. I think we went through the call, or at least that aspect of that call, at least twice. I remember we talked about it when we ran through the entire 2-hour interview with Brooks Houck. And one of the things that we said in that is that seemed almost rehearsed. And so we are finding out that truly, in fact, was rehearsed.
What about Steve's son?
Steve's son, I'm not sure about the evidence that they have against Steve's son. I know that
I can tell you this attorney has a whiff of what they have against his son. He's just not at liberty to say.
Extremely involved.
Do you think?
Let's listen to that again. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cough in your ears. But let's listen to what the question was and what his response was. He has to be careful at what he says, okay? Just trust me on this. He's got to be careful. He's answering these questions the best he can without divulging as much. And quite frankly, I think he's doing an amazing job at just that. So let's listen to this again.
Supposed to call the other, and the ring came in, and they spoke.
And what about Steve's son?
Steve's son, I'm not sure about the evidence that they have against Steve's son. I know that he's extremely involved.
Wow. So we talked about Joseph being the very first person that was arrested in this case, even before Brooks. And now we know why. He had the goods. He had the goods. He was heavily involved. So what does that mean? That's up for our speculation, but we don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things. We really don't. I'm sure people are going to start speculating on this, but I just want to caution at least our audience here that just leave it as speculation. And it's okay to speculate. It's okay to speculate, but just don't pass it off as true. Okay? Because there's going to be a lot of speculation on how much he's tied into this case. We're going to do it even here. So just be cognizant that people are going to now be speculating. Speculation is not truth. Could it happen? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? In some cases, yes. Does it mean it's true? No. We have nothing. We know he's heavily involved. That's what we know. That's all we know at this moment.
Do you think that Brooks Houck paid Joseph Lawson to help in the murder of Crystal Rogers?
For the first time, I think Shay McAllister already knows the answer. I think somebody already gave her, because that was a question that I think she, just by the way she asked it, just by her facial expression, she already knew the answer before asking him. And I'm curious as to why. I think she had a conversation with this attorney about what points he'd like to make on this interview. I don't know why I'm getting that. It was just now when I looked at her asking him this question. Let me just back it up. Look at her face. I want you guys to look at it. She's trying to act like she doesn't know. Oh, let's get back there. Let's see if this is it. Did I go back?
Of Crystal Rogers?
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's go back just a little bit more.
Do you think that Brooks Houck paid Joseph Lawson to help in the murder of Crystal Rogers?
That look right there. She already knew the answer.
I think the Commonwealth has been trying to establish that a payment was made. As to who that payment was made to and when it was made, I'm not privy to that information yet.
She knew the answer to that. She's talking to somebody, but he stumbled whenever he took too long of a pause for the answer. Maybe he's not the one that spoke to her, but I'm telling you, she knew the answer to that question before she asked.
What about the vehicle in this case?
Vehicle was the maroon vehicle that was parked out on mile marker 14 on the Bluegrass Parkway heading west. It was driven out there by Joey Lawson. He had a flat tire at that mile marker, and my client received a phone call.
So it almost implies, call me crazy here, but it almost implies, because he said he got a flat tire at that mile marker and he had to call his father. It doesn't sound like that flat tire was intentional on her car. They were taking that car to dump it somewhere else, and he had no choice but to leave it there. That's a little odd, and it makes me want to speculate where were they going to take it, because typically in cases like this, they burn the vehicle to hide evidence. He had to leave that on the side of the road. Shay is an amazing journalist. She has been on the case since day one and has always covered it with professionalism. Shay's very close to Sherry Ballard. I'm telling you, she got some information. I don't know. There's only a few times that she has an expression where I know she already knows the answer. And it's like somebody's talking to her, and I know somebody's talking to her and giving her some behind the scenes stuff that the rest of us don't have. I can just tell. But that the one, because it was kind of weird, because she almost had like this subtle smirk, I think is what I keyed in on when she asked that question. She has this straight face, but under that straight face slightly, there's this almost smirk, like she's wanting to know how he's going to answer this question. So I don't know. I don't know. She knows more. She knows more than what she's asking even here. I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
Went out there and got him, brought him back.
So Steve has told you that he went and picked up Joey from the Bluegrass Parkway where he had driven Crystal's car.
Was told the state police that, told FBI that, told the Commonwealth's attorney that from Hardin County, who's in charge of the investigation.
I'd like to know when he started telling that, because you can't tell me that Steve had told them all this stuff back then, because that's enough probable cause to have Brooks arrested, unless Joseph denied it. But even Joseph should have been arrested back then, just for the fact that he was in possession of her vehicle. So I'm listening to this attorney, and he's talking, he's told this, this law enforcement body, this law enforcement body, this law enforcement body, this law enforcement, he just rattled off a vegetable soup, our alphabet soup here. So if he told all these people, I guess for me personally, I'd like to know who, or not who, when he told this. Is this just recently, just over the last year? Or has he said this previously? Or was he lying previously and just now recently come clean? Because that would tick some officers off, because you already lied to them. And remember, they've only charged him with one count. So it sounds like he should have more counts than what he has right now. So it sounds like this is, you're going to go to jail for lying to us. Maybe they'll work something out and he gets out and becomes a lead key witness in this case. I don't know.
Any other important details that you believe prove your client's innocence?
Other than his assertion that I did not hurt Crystal and was not involved in hurting Crystal. I didn't plan to hurt Crystal. I didn't conspire to hurt Crystal. Those are his statements. And that's what he has told the Kentucky State Police, and the FBI, and the Commonwealth's attorney time after time after time in this year.
What do you anticipate will happen in court next week? At Brooks Houck's arraignment, there was a lot of bombshells dropped. Do you think we'll hear something similar?
I do. And as we move on, the Commonwealth's ready to move on after all these 8.5 years. I would say that we're going to hear some things in court that we haven't heard before.
Well, that is true. They're going to hear some things in court that they have not heard before. I have to say, she had the same question as me, laugh out loud, but he speaks way before that. Says it was in May. Yes, you are correct. It was May, as far as we know. May. So, you're saying as far as him speaking to them, it goes back to May. So, if I'm understanding that correctly, so just correct me if I'm wrong. So, I had asked the original question, do we know when he started cooperating or when he said this? And I'm starting to see some people saying that he spoke back in May. And I'm assuming that you guys are referring to Steve Lawson's statements. And if he's just now cooperating, May, he had this info. Come on, guys. I right now, I pity nobody that goes to jail at this point. I literally pity nobody that goes to jail at this point, because they've had 8 years to do the right thing. And it takes all of this. I don't think, and I'm sorry, but if Steve was promised a plea deal for his information and he gave them all the information that he was supposed to give them, then yes, I think that they should honor the agreement. If they realize that he lied after giving him or offering him full immunity, then he did it to himself. I have no pity for him. I have no pity for him at all. So I'm curious as to whether what he's saying is true and he told them everything that was true and correct, or if he's more involved. I just don't see law enforcement going after him, because let's face it, Joseph is being charged with the same exact charges as his father, but his father is stating that he only picked his son up. However, his son is heavily involved in this case. So then why would law enforcement charge him at the same exact level as his son if his son's involvement is so much more than his? I just don't. I don't know. I do have trust and belief in the professionalism of the badge, and it's either strategy or he's lying. That really is the only things that come to. Maybe something else as well, but those are really what I'm kind of thinking here. Maybe they're trying to lock him in so he knows how serious this is. He might be able to get out on bail. We don't know what is going on with Steve. We haven't heard the allegations against him yet. I'm very interested in finding out, because I'd like to know how this all plays in, and where does Jason Ellis come in? I think we're going to be learning a lot of information. I have a funny feeling all three of these cases are going to find a way to be wrapped up in each other, and you can't really have one without the other. I kind of feel like that's like, even with Tommy's case, I feel like that's going to be there. I don't know if they're going to put them all. I don't think they can put them all three in one trial, but I think they're going to have to strategically set up the trials to explain the one and the other, because I really do believe somehow these are all connected together. And I just, like, especially Crystal and Tommy, we know that those are connected together. They're going to have to probably try Crystal's case first to get all the facts established in her case, to help establish a lot of the facts that they need for, say, Tommy Ballard's case. Maybe the reason why Nick Houck isn't put in jail yet is because they're not prepared to prosecute him. He's not doing anything wrong right now. They have a good eye on him. They know where he's at. Right now, that's okay. There is those possibilities, right? There is those possibilities. But I'm sorry, if you truly believe somebody is capable of murder and you have enough evidence to get them off the streets, you should get them off the streets, because they truly have nothing to lose. And that really does jeopardize everybody in that community. I'm sorry, it just does. I don't agree with that practice. I don't like it. If you know you have a murderer, somebody that has been able to willfully take somebody else's life, they are a danger to the public. Period. I agree. Closed mouths don't get fed. Too late to be opened in your mouth. Yeah. It should have happened 8 years ago. And if law enforcement may be like that too. Like, you made us expend millions of dollars, and they're digging up they're putting craters in the earth trying to find this lady. If they would have just opened their mouth, they all would have been saved. They all would have had mercy of the court. They should never even have gotten involved in it to begin with. Like, what makes people think that doing something for somebody else when it comes to the death of somebody, like, of all things, I can understand, a robbery. Okay. Nobody got hurt in a robbery, not a robbery that somebody got hurt. Let me clarify that for all the dum-dums. But, a robbery where it was just a simple robbery, nobody was hurt and somebody needs to hide evidence. Okay. Not that I condone that or agree with that, but I can understand you being buddy with somebody or a mommy or a daddy and saying, okay, don't do this, go through whatever you need to go through with your child. But okay, this isn't bad enough. Let's just see if we can kind of fix this. Right. So I can understand that. But when it comes to the loss of life, when it comes to something so immoral, when it comes to the fact of somebody being lost and dead at the hands of another person, that is a crime that I don't understand. If you did not do it, why you would even get involved in it. My hands would have been up and said, I ain't saying shit, but dude, you're on your own. Have a good day. And if they decide to force me to do it, say they have a gun on me and say, if you don't help me, I'm going to drop you right here. All right, I'm helping you, right? I'm helping you. I'm getting it done. But the next minute I'm out of your sight, I'm going straight to the police. All right, that is just a crime. Don't get involved in. Parents, don't get involved in. Friends, don't get involved in. That's just putting your neck out too much for somebody else that has no problem serving your neck on a platter before theirs. Believe that and always keep that in the back of your mind, because I guarantee you Brooks is going to try to blame it on Joseph. What you bet? What you bet Joseph would be plan B, right? That's why you don't stick your neck out for people. I guarantee you they're going to try to switch it up and try to blame it on Joseph and Steve. What you bet? Yeah, either way, you're going to do time, save yourself. Absolutely. But just can you imagine if Joseph had gone to police within that first week and said, look, this is what happened. I didn't want to help him, but he forced me to. And I'm sorry that my involvement, but she's gone. He did it. This is what I know. If he would have done that the first week, that man would have had immunity. Brooks would be in jail. He would be living the life. And even if he wasn't, even if they got jammed up with a charge, he would be out in minimal time. Minimal time. Now he's got himself messed up. He's got his dad messed up all over Brooks. Somebody that probably doesn't even have crap to do with him right now. And probably hasn't for a good long time. Izzy does makes me wonder what Houcks are involved in the Tal Picante chicken fried rice. What? I have no idea what that is. That sounds a little funny to me. I don't know. Does make me wonder what all they're involved in for nobody to talk this long. Yeah, it's what I'm telling you. It's it's got to be some type of organized crime. Mama looks mean. I'm sorry. I see people all day long. It's hard for me to call somebody a mafia mom. She has mafia ma written all over her face. I'm sorry. She just does. Whether she is or not, maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion, whatever. But I guarantee every time you look at her now, she looks like a mafia mom to you. She looks mean. She looks like you don't want to mess with her attitude. She scares Bullhorn Betty. I ain't lying about that. Absolutely correct. I have so much faith in our state police, but the FBI is who got traction in the case once they came on board. Yeah. Well, we definitely hope, this is all the information that I have. We're definitely looking, I'm telling you, I'm looking heavily into this. If you don't believe me, even just the storage units and stuff like that, I'm really looking into this case to see what holds water and what doesn't. I still have this sense that there is this organized crime factor to this. And I don't know what that is, but I have to think if two sons are accused of murdering people, then, you know, I can't imagine me being that far off base. Maybe I am. I don't know. There was a drug ring in the sheriff's department where they were running drugs by officers. I did star that. I didn't remember starring that. Trust only goes so far. What's done in the dark will always come to light. And then the other one is good to see you finally covering this case. I asked you to look into it when you first started your channel. I emailed you the case and the school teacher and her daughter. I remember there was a few cases. There were still several cases there's a case in Pasco County. A grandmother reached out to me, and I've lost track of it. I can't even find it in my emails. I have no earthly idea what case it was, and I told her I'd reach out to it happens. I get so busy and so many requests. I try to do what I can. But we did start covering this case about, I don't know, what was it, 2 months ago? We did like a 2-day series 2 months ago. And then just recently when Stephen was arrested, we kind of took a deeper dive in it. Then I realized there's a lot more going on here, because to be honest with you, I thought it was just a normal domestic, everything I was reading, it just seemed like a normal domestic violence homicide. And it sounds sick to say normal domestic violence homicide, but we've become accustomed to these homicides now, haven't we? So it's not like I'm saying this out of turn or saying it in a disrespectful light. Sorry, I got to turn this in a disrespectful light. It's just that, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that do terrible things to people that they love or say that they love. And I thought this was just one of those cases. Well, clearly it's not. It has more teeth to it, but we still ran it anyways, because when I did run it, I realized that one of our subs was the cousin of the victim. And so she didn't have a lot of information, but she was able to give us a little bit of information about the case, because the case was just breaking. We had just had Joseph arrested, and followed by Joseph was Brooks. And then the case just kind of went silent for a little bit. So there was no new information. The last bombshell we had was Nick probably killed Tommy Ballard, and they're working on securing that evidence now, and they should have that back soon. And I think we were all just kind of waiting for Nick to be arrested, and then nothing happened in the case, and we all just kind of forgot about it again. And then Steve's arrest. And I'm still scratching my head thinking, what about Nick? Why isn't Nick arrested? The man had his whole entire trunk lit up in blue. How do you do that? So this case is very personal for LE. If 3 murders are connected, not only did Crystal and Tommy get murdered, but one of their own was ambushed. Yeah. And then we got to remember that. We do have to remember that at the end of the day. It was one of their own, not only one of their own, but this was the first and only, from my understanding, death on that police force. They've never had an in the line of duty death on that squad. Jason Ellis was the first. That's awful. That's awful. And his wife just seemed such a supporting wife, very nice, nurturing, very kind. She reminded me of a Sunday school teacher. I have to be honest with you. She reminds me of a Sunday school teacher. She just has that charming, sweet, and nurturing personality. And it's so sad. And to think that this man's own children don't get to grow up with a father because of, I think we're going to find out when all this comes down to it, greed. I think when everything push comes to shove and we find out what the true motive was, it's greed. They were doing something they shouldn't. I think he caught on, and he was gunned down for it. And whatever they were doing that was wrong was most likely something that made them money. Greed. It's just sad. All right, guys, we've been here 2.5 hours. Plus, we had a little half hour this morning, and we still have, I may do 6:30 tonight. I may not. I don't know. It just really depends. I don't think we're going to stay on this topic for this evening. I think we're going to have another topic. And I also wanted to inform each and every one of you. I will be going on Sweet Misery's channel here in the near future. So if you guys would like to go over there, we're going to be talking about a specific case, one case that's not getting a whole lot of attention. But I will let you guys know whenever it's all set up and everything like that. I hope you guys go over and support me and Misery as we dive into one very specific case. So that will be upcoming. I'll let you guys know as soon as we have a date and time. So we make sure you mark your calendars. But it will be at 8 p.m. from what I hear. Whatever it is, it's 8 p.m. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know. All right, guys. I love you. God bless. Go make it a great day. Happy Tuesday. We'll be back here on Hump Day. Unless I go live tonight. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to go live tonight or not. Depends on if I have something to talk about. I want to try to get a couple videos ready, and I've got to get a litany of discovery and subpoenas prepared and filed. So that's what I will be doing over the next week or so as we start trying to identify all the witnesses to this case. So God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you soon. We'll go out with this one.